Hi. Um, there are moments when it's really just useful for me to share with you some of the experiments I'm doing, even when they don't work. In the last 3 or 4 days, I'm experiencing the results of an experiment that I did, and it didn't work well. In fact, it hurt. So I want to share with you what that's about and how I would still encourage you to experiment with certain things, but I want to share with you my pain as well as my success. One of the principles I'm continuously working on has to do with the symbology of this molecule. I won't go into it in great detail. I have in the past how this is what's called a laminin molecule. This is the molecule and the actual shape of it, and it's larger than this above, but it's like a crucifix, and it has this wave-like duality from below. It has a 2, and above it is a 1. The energy goes out, each of these lines goes out in opposite directions. I've been following the one upward, and all I can say is my experiences have been profound in that this line that goes upward has several essential qualities to it. One of them is the feeling of hope. Hope is what I experience. The other one is faith. I won't go into describing all the elements about faith and why and how maybe you might use it. That's something that you can explore. But the third one is silence. Now, I'm highly appreciative that silence to me is like an omnipresent canopy or womb. My highest experience has been eternal silence. And within that eternal silence is the opportunity to experience faith and hope and the desire to want to receive divine love. Experimenting with that, I was taking the months of the year backwards, which I still, by the way, recommend, and I find it to be very therapeutic, is to take my feelings of this month and go back to the previous month for 2 or 3 breaths, and then back to the previous month until I completed a circle of 1 year, and then even going back in periods of decades through my life, and essentially, using this circuitry to experience and release things. All that worked, by the way, just to let you know. I still do that. I recommend it. The part that got me in trouble was I took this polarized, circulating, ascending force, which is what this wave-like duality function is from the feet or below the feet, and I wanted to bring in from above masculine and feminine in a harmonic way, meaning all of us could use an increase of divine feminine and an increase of divine masculine, and to be able to bring that, if you literally want to consider it, down through the fontanelle. But what I found is that when I did it with myself, using myself and a dear friend, I took myself and a friend through the fontanelle to a third friend. So 2 of us were coming in experimenting with the delivery mechanism of the upper feminine and masculine to come into the position here, if I'm pointing to, being the heart. Well, I had a profoundly challenging moment where I separated in this process my breathing function from my heart. And I do measure these things, by the way. So my O2 stats, the oxygen levels in my blood, went from 98% to 83 in a matter of seconds, which left me in somewhat of a, well, not in a good place. And then it opened up another place, which had to do with my right jaw head function. And I learned a profound lesson. From above, do only one. Bring them in union if you want, but do only one. So hope, faith, silence, very, very useful. Yes, do that. Now, the opposite side of this, you see these circulating patterns, is I've been now for a while practicing moving the forces from below my feet and circulating them. And this is the one that I want to encourage you to consider, particularly if you're in the northern hemisphere. You can do it in the southern hemisphere because it's true, but the northern hemisphere right now is, it's cold where I am. It's freezing, and everything else is kind of waiting for the arrival of spring, but it's cold out. But within 4 to 6 feet below the earth, the temperature is, 57 degrees Fahrenheit is the acknowledged temperature after 4 feet. Typically, it can freeze down to 4 to 6 feet, but below that, the roots of the trees, they're in party mode. The upper is cold, the bottom is warm, and there is a dynamic activity going on not only in the mycelium network, but in all the root system functions. And there's this very dramatic life force function coming from below your feet. And it's in a building anticipation of squeezing the nutrients and the water and the vital forces of creation upward for the spring and the summer. But right now, it's basically beginning to enter, because we're really over at this time of this, we're near the 1st of February, so the arrival of spring won't really begin noticeably until next month, or the second month of spring or something. All of the flowers and everything comes, but they come as a result of the pre-preparation of the roots to bring life and to prepare that life to go upward through your feet. I know that sounds odd, but those little puppies you have, those feet will really do the best if they're in touch with the earth. Not just for the grounding function, which is important too, which is a uplifting function of the electrons, if you will, and the electromagnetic forces coming from the earth, but there are other things available below your feet if you want to bring them. And I would suggest that if you look at the feet, they have a tendency they tilt out. If you lay on your back, you're 1 degree or another, you're usually tilted. That's typically the direction that I would suggest that you circulate the flow of life force below your feet. Now, the life force below the feet is obviously connected to, if these were the toes, each one of the toes has 2 acupuncture points on the nail, right at the base of the nail, where the perpendicular axis meets the horizontal axis. So you have 10 plus, like the hands, which is literally true for the hands as well, the ankles come into the smooth muscles to the inside functions, the hairless parts of your leg, and they cross over at the knee, and primarily there's a big one at the hips, where the ascending forces meet the bottom of the torso, where life force, life creation, life vitality, the playful party below your feet is available for you to be able to utilize to build up your own vital forces in harmony with the existence of the season, and to be able to bring things into your life force systems. Now, I would urge you, and I have had to experiment a few times, and these are the safe ones. It's okay to go below your feet, feel it all, imagine it, use your two-girl imaginative empathy to feel the hair roots of the trees and plants below, and then bring it up. But go to your heart to do it, meaning you want to meet the energy from above coming down, which is primarily light in this moment, and faith and hope, and then let it meet at the heart level as your vital forces from your feet are rising. So go to your heart, feel your feet. I know that's kind of weird, but go to your heart, feel your feet in the earth, and then spin those feet as fast as you are comfortable, and let that energy move up to your spinal column coccyx. I would suggest that you don't stop there and spin around the coccyx. You can if you want, but bring it on up your spinal cord, spinal column, up to your heart, and then let those forces meet. Phew. I would urge you to bring the energy from above, not as a diligence of projected effort. It is essentially effortless. It's more of a gentle cascade of receiving it than it is some assertion of doing anything to surmount or control it. No, I have not ever found myself capable of being able to control the silence, but to yearn to let that silence come through. You can take it through your fontanelle, back through your cerebellum if you wish, or take it through both, come down and around. But I suggest you meet the two from below with the one from above. Now, on this line, the magnitude of this line horizontally is your willingness to share what you're experiencing. Meaning, literally, this line has to do with the arms. Yes, there's an equal function of how the oscillating of the feet when you walk oscillates with the opposite arm, right leg, left hand, and so on, like a marching function. This also oscillates. This is called the giving and receiving function. Self-evident, yes, but it's all about people. It's not just about you going it alone above and going it alone from below. Yes, you have to have a personal opportunity responsibility function, but it's about giving and receiving. Touch someone, hug someone, feel. If not, then practice on a tree. It's fine. The stars don't mind, and the roots don't mind either, but I would suggest that this is just a key point right there to give and receive. Phew. That leads to a whole other story about masculinity and femininity, but not right now. Just take that much and give it some consideration, and later on I'll come back and describe the laminin molecule as a receiver transmitter, and the masculine and feminine functions, vertical, horizontal, meeting in this point to be an equinox, if you want, or a full solar eclipse, or whatever your favorite imagery is for that position. I'll tell you about that one later. Thanks for stopping by.